In the last episode, I told you who I am and why I decided to make this podcast. I told you about Castelpetroso, about the bond that connects those who left with those who stayed behind. I promised you we would go back to the very beginning. Well, today we're going to do that. This is the story of the day it all began, March 22nd, 1888, a Thursday, the day before Good Friday, Holy Week. My name is Danny Cicchino, and this is the Little Lourdes of Italy. To understand what happened that day, you first have to understand the place. Castelpetroso in 1888 was a village of about 3,000 souls. Farmers, shepherds, people who lived on the land and their animals. The railway was under construction. There was no telegraph. News traveled on foot, by letter, or on the back of a mule. The outside world was far away, and the village, perched on the mountains of Molise, lived by the rhythms of the seasons and the church bells. To the southwest of the village center, the mountain rises steep and rocky. There is an area the locals used to call Cesa Santi, the clearing among the saints, perhaps because of some ancient roadside shrine, or perhaps because of something people sensed in that place, but that could never quite explain. It was rough terrain, full of boulders and crevices, where the sheep were taken to graze. That is where you must picture the scene. Two women, Fabiana Cecchino and Serafina Valentino, peasant women, young women of the people, with no education and no pretensions. That Thursday they had gone up the mountain, as they always did, to work the land and let their sheep graze. An ordinary gesture, an everyday task, one of 1,000 things you did without thinking. But what they found was anything but ordinary. In an opening among the rocks, Fabiana and Serafina saw a light, and within that light, a figure. A woman half kneeling with her arms outstretched, and her gaze lifted to the sky in an act of offering and supplication. She wore a violet robe, the color of Passion Thursday, and a blue mantle that fell from her head down to her feet. Before her, lying on the ground, was the body of her son, covered in wounds. Our Lady of Sorrows, the Madonna dei Sette Dolori, the Madonna of the Seven Sorrows, Mary offering to the Father the body of her dead son. It was not a static image. It was not a statue. It was a living, present, real vision, at least for those two women who saw it with their own eyes and who fell to their knees trembling. The Virgin did not speak a single word, no verbal message, only that silent presence, that gesture of offering that said everything without need of words. Now, let's stop for a moment, because I know what you're thinking. The same thing almost everyone thought back then. Two ignorant peasant women. They must have made the whole thing up. Or they saw a trick of the light among the rocks and let their imagination run wild. It is understandable reaction. It is the very reaction of the parish priest, Don Achille Ferrara. When he first heard about it, a prudent, educated clergyman who didn't let himself get carried away by rumors. A man who knew his people well and understood how easily talk could travel from one house to the next in a village that small. Don Achille didn't believe it, not at first, And rightly so, because the Church itself teaches that when faced with such claims, the first response must be discernment, not enthusiasm. But the problem was that Fabiana and Serafina didn't stop. They didn't tell the story once and then forget about it. They went back to the mountain, and the vision repeated itself. And other people began to climb up, out of curiosity, out of devotion, out of skepticism. And some of those people said they too had seen something. The rumor spread. And with the rumors came the pilgrims from Castelpetroso, from the neighboring villages, then from farther away. The mountain, which had always been nothing more than a pasture for sheep, began to fill with people who were praying. There is something I need to tell you here, something that has always struck me deeply. When I studied the original documents, the testimonies from that time, the official records, the letters, what emerges is not an atmosphere of fanaticism. There is no collective hysteria. There is something far more sober and, in a way, far more unsettling. There are ordinary people, shepherds, craftsmen, mothers, who describe a simple word something they could not explain. Without exaltation, almost with embarrassment, like someone who knows no one will believe them, but who cannot keep silent. And then there is the water. Because at the side of the apparition among the rocks, a spring was found, a thin stream of water that had not been there before. It was noticed in July, in the middle of a scorching drought, and that water, in a very short time, began to be associated with healings. People who washed their face with it, who bathed ailing parts of their body, who carried the water home to their loved ones, and who then spoke of improvements that no one could explain. We will talk about this in details in episode 4, but it was important to mention it now because the water is one of the elements that caused the news to explode far beyond the borders of Castelpetroso. Think about it. This is 1888. Italy has been a unified nation for less than 30 years. Molise isn't even its own region yet. It is still part of the province of Campobasso, with the old territory of Abruzzo. It is a forgotten land, overlooked even by politics. People are emigrating, the roads are terrible, communication is painfully slow. And yet, within a matter of weeks, the news of what was happening in Castelpetroso reached the newspapers. First, the local ones, then the national press, and from there, slowly but surely, it reached Rome. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For today, let us stay here, on this mountain, on this Thursday in March, with these two women who have just seen something that will change their lives and the life of an entire village. You know, there is one detail that moves me every time I think about it. Fabiana and Serafina were nobody. In an Italy where what mattered was your title, your money, your connections, they were at the very bottom of their social ladder. Two women in a mountain village in the deepest south. No one had had any reasons to listen to them. No one had any reason to believe them. And yet, the Madonna, if we believe in what happened, chose them. At least at first, not a bishop, not a theologian, not a nobleman, two working women. It is the same pattern as Lourdes, where the Immaculate Virgin appeared to Bernadette Soubirous in an illiterate girl. It is the same pattern as Fatima, where Our Lady appeared to 3 shepherd children. as if there were a message within the message. It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is that you are willing to see. And Fabiana and Serafina saw. In the next episode, I will tell you the story of Don Achille Ferrara, the skeptical parish priest, who climbed the mountain to expose what he believed was a hoax, and who, on May 18, 1888, saw the Madonna with his own eyes. It is a story that deserves an episode of its own, because it is the story of an honest man who changed his mind in the face of evidence. I am Danny Cicchino, and this is the Little Lourdes of Italy, Shrine of Our Lady of Sorrows. Thank you for being here with me, and we'll see you in the next episode.